Cool. So thanks very much for making the time to talk today, Will. Obviously, with the delay for the start of the season, it can be difficult to train, but you've obviously got to keep yourself ready for the start of the season. What are you doing to keep yourself sharp and ready so when the season does start, you're ready to go?
I think the primary thing for us is to stay fit. I think it'd be probably quite criminal if you had any injuries at this time of year. And lads with niggles who were going into the season with any little problems, we'll be able to get them sorted out. But whether it's running or doing some sort of weights in the backyard, and I know some lads at Warwickshire have ordered med balls, kettlebells, dumbbells on the internet. I know they're quite hard to get at this sort of strange time, but anything that you can do to stay fit is priceless. And it also ticks over your day as well. I can imagine a lot of people are quite bored at this time, and I think we're very much the same. So anything that we can do is obviously beneficial to us.
Perfect. And obviously, as the captain for Warwickshire, what are your expectations for the season? You set those out in pre-season, I'm sure, but yeah, how do you see the season going, and what are your expectations for it?
Yeah, I think our expectations have obviously changed. I think, like the other 17 captains across the country and, all the other coaches, we have to, relook at what we want to get out of this season. I think we've got to first look at the schedule and how many games we play, and in what format. We don't even know what competitions are going to be around. Obviously, the 2020 will most certainly be, the priority. So, to get... We don't know sort of whether it's going to be groups or knockout or what. So obviously we want to get as far as we can in every competition. I think that goes without saying, and I'm sure every other county will be exactly the same. I think that's just a general thing, in every season. Every county wants to get a bit of silverware at the end of the year, no matter how long or short the season is. So I think that'll be the overall aim. But to get as much out we can out of this short season, or if any, would be the best thing for us.
Sure. And when you obviously look at the squad, you've got a great blend of youth and experience. How much do you actually speak with the senior players about mentoring the younger players, and how does that relationship work within, I guess, quite a large squad?
Yeah, it's obviously good. I think we're actually quite fortunate at Warwickshire. We've got a lot of young lads who have played a lot of cricket. Dom Sibley, prime examples, probably played over 100 games now. Sam Hain has. Adam Hose has played a lot of cricket. Ollie Stone, although he's not played probably the cricket that he wants to have played in the last 4 or 5 years, has played international cricket, so he's still got a vast amount of experience. So we are fortunate to tap into those guys, and there's a bulk of us who are within sort of 2 or 3 years of each other. So we know how the game is evolving, which is nice. But to have guys like Belly and Cheese, who's obviously not been around this winter, Rhodes, 3 older statesmen, I guess. Guys have been in every position, applicable. That game throws out. So, when the season does come around, it'd be pretty silly not to tap into those 3 and use their experience at whatever level they've played.
When you think about obviously the captaincy that you've taken that role from Jeaton, how did you find out?
So Fabi actually, asked me if I would want to do it at any stage. It wasn't an offer, it was more an inquiry. I thought he would be asking 3 or 4 lads in the dressing room whether that would be whether he was sort of getting his options, I guess, but asked me whether he wanted to do it, and for what format. Obviously I said yes to all of them. I think this stage would be a very silly move to take on. I think I'm ready for that challenge. Obviously the performances and that side of it will show whether I am ready or not, but I like to think I am ready. And then it was probably a week, 10 days after obviously he spoke to Jeese about it, and Trout's the head coach, and then I got offered it probably 10 days to 2 weeks later, which obviously it probably hasn't sunk in a great deal yet. I think it will probably fully sink in when we start playing games. It's all good being sort of the captain and you're in training sessions, but it doesn't mean anything until you're out there trying to win games for your county. So it's still sinking in, but hopefully when we do get out there sort of later in the summer, then it will fully sink in, and it will be a big challenge. But I think everyone at the club is excited for a new era of Warwickshire cricket.
Yourself and Sibley built strong relationship, spending a lot of time batting together, and I guess setting a good platform for the team. How did that impact the team last season? And obviously providing that stability, and now you've got a senior leadership role within the team. Yeah, how do you see that moving forward and the impact that will have on the team's success?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Me and Dom have played a lot of cricket together. We played a bit of youth age group cricket together, so we knew each other before we came to Warwickshire. We lived together in our first year, and I think that relationship took onto the pitch as well. Towards the back end of our first year, 2018, together, and then last year I think we had a lot of onus on us to score runs. There was injuries all over the shop, whether it was in the batting department. We lost Belly before the season. We lost Hosey for a little bit this season, and then obviously all the bowlers. So I think having us two at the top of the order, a consistent partnership at the top of the order, really settled any sort of new players coming into the side. And it was obviously good to get the runs as well. Dom, as many as he got, 1,400, and myself, on sort of 800. It was good to set that platform and settle some nerves, because after sort of 7 games, we're looking at fighting relegation, and obviously we were in that relegation scrap, and every run that you get certainly helps. And to have Dom kick on the way he did was brilliant, and thoroughly earned his call-ups this winter.
Touching on that, you spoke about your first season being the 18 season, and obviously the 19 season being very contrasting seasons. What was that experience like, coming to Warwickshire and having such different seasons? And how did the team dynamic change in each of those seasons, I guess?
I think obviously the 2018 season we had, Belly available all season. We had Johnny Trott available all season. Tim Ambrose was fit and playing well, and our bowlers generally stayed fit throughout the year. Keith Barker, Chris Wright, Ollie Stone, took boy wickets, and obviously Jeets as well. So we had a very senior team, and it was very easy for me to come into that environment. I was almost seen as a bit of small fry, I guess, in a big pond, and I think that worked for me. I got obviously however many runs I did, and obviously to get a few hundreds was obviously very nice, and it sort of cements your place in the team and cements any doubts that maybe players in the dressing room had about me coming into the side, because my record probably wasn't as good as what people thought coming in. So just settling sort of those sort of things down was obviously nice. And then obviously we lose a lot of senior players. They go either retire or move on with their careers, which happens in any sport. And all of a sudden you're now one of the senior players in the dressing room, and you almost have to score runs. It's your job to score runs, and people are expecting runs off you. Obviously everyone expects runs off the top 6 batsmen, but the expectation was probably less in 2018 as it was to last year. So, but having that, it's obviously nice, because you do feel like you're part of the squad and you're a centre sort of member of the squad. And when you do score runs, it does solidify that feeling that you are there as part of a senior sort of part of the squad.
Sure. And when you talk about, you said there's a responsibility, do you have any favourite stands that you've had with any particular batsman over the past couple of seasons, whether that's Sibley or anyone else within the squad?
Probably, Dom. The one with Dom at Kent last year, it was obviously a very flat pitch, but I think we put on 230, 240. So that was obviously a very nice, partnership to make. I think Kent made 550, and the last thing you want to do with I think it was at the time we didn't have a single fit bowler on the staff. So the last thing you want to do is then be 4 or 5 down at the end of the day, and to get through that non-down and kick on the next day was really pleasing. That was probably one of them. And then I think another one was with Matt Lamb. To get through to my first 100, I think we put on 80 and 90 for the maybe 5th wicket. It was really early on in the 2018 season, and to get the first 100 batting with another young kid and an academy graduate is, it was very nice. And me and Lammy get on really well, and on a tricky pitch to win a game and at age best to get your first 100 was pretty special. So yeah, that one will be up there as well.
It's fantastic. And obviously you've just touched on difficult conditions to play in. Have you found any other conditions, whether that's either the bowler, the conditions themselves, the match context, which ones stick out in your mind as difficult conditions to bat in?
There's been a few. Div 1 cricket is obviously, very, very tough, facing, Morning Mockle at the Oval. It was quite dark overcast. You know, getting through him when he's charging him was, you know, particularly hard work. Carl Abbott at the Rose Bowl on a pitch that was doing a little bit was always tough work. He's obviously, you know, an outstanding bowler, and then you know when you face Essex, they come at you from all angles, whether it's Porter, Cook, or Simon Harmer. There, obviously a tricky attack with Peter Siddle in there as well. So there's no real respite in Div 1. It's, you know, you're going to come up against some international quality in every attack, but it's obviously just getting through that, you know, and using those experiences to kick on in further innings.